On a crisp January morning in 1947, a young mother named Betty Bersinger was strolling through a vacant lot in Los Angeles' Leimert Park with her 3-year-old daughter when she spotted what she thought was a broken store mannequin lying in the grass. As she drew closer, horror set in. It wasn't a mannequin at all. This was the beginning of one of America's most infamous unsolved murders, the case that would forever be known as the Black Dahlia. Los Angeles in the late 1940s was a city of dreams and shadows, buzzing with the glamour of Hollywood's golden age. World War II had just ended, and the streets were alive with aspiring starlets, returning soldiers, and a booming film industry. But beneath the neon lights and palm-lined boulevards lurked a darker side: organized crime, corruption in the police force, and a tabloid press hungry for scandal. Leimert Park, a developing suburban neighborhood in South LA, was meant to be a symbol of post-war prosperity, with new homes sprouting up amid empty lots overgrown with weeds. It was in one of these desolate patches, at 39th and Norton Avenue, that the nightmare unfolded, turning the City of Angels into a backdrop for unimaginable evil. The victim was 22-year-old Elizabeth Short, a striking young woman with porcelain skin, raven black hair, and piercing blue eyes. Born on July 29, 1924, in Hyde Park, Massachusetts, she was the third of 5 daughters in a working-class family. Her father, Cleo Short, abandoned them during the Great Depression after faking his suicide by leaving his car on a bridge, only to resurface years later in California. Elizabeth, or Betty as she was called growing up, suffered from asthma and bronchitis, leading her to spend winters in warmer climates like Miami. As a teenager, she dreamed of stardom, inspired by the silver screen. In 1943, at 19, she moved to Vallejo, California, to live with her father, but their reunion soured quickly over household chores, and she struck out on her own. There, she fell in love with Major Matthew Michael Gordon Jr., an Army Air Force pilot, and they became engaged. Tragically, Gordon died in a plane crash in India just before the war's end in 1945, shattering her heart. Devastated, Elizabeth bounced between Florida, Chicago, and Boston before heading to Hollywood in July 1946 to chase her acting ambitions. Known for her love of black clothing and dahlia flowers pinned in her hair, perhaps inspiring her posthumous nickname from the 1946 film The Blue Dahlia, she frequented nightclubs like the Florentine Gardens and mingled with servicemen and hopefuls. Despite rumors of promiscuity spread by the press, those who knew her described her as kind, naive, and more dreamer than diva, though she struggled with money and occasionally relied on the kindness of strangers. The crime itself was a scene of calculated brutality that shocked even hardened detectives. On January 15, 1947, around 10 a.m., Betty Bersinger's discovery led to a frantic call to the police. Officers arrived to find Elizabeth's nude body severed cleanly at the waist, the two halves positioned about a foot apart. Rope burns marked her wrists and ankles, suggesting she'd been bound and tortured for days. Her body had been meticulously drained of blood and washed clean, with no blood at the scene, indicating she'd been killed elsewhere and dumped. Autopsy reports revealed horrific details. She'd been beaten severely about the head and face, causing lacerations and bruises. Her cause of death was hemorrhage and shock from the facial slashes and blows to the skull. There were signs of sexual assault, though no sperm was found, and her intestines had been removed and tucked under her buttocks. Cuts on her thighs and breasts appeared to be post-mortem, possibly from a sharp surgical tool like a scalpel or hemostat. The bisection was precise, performed with medical knowledge along the midsection, avoiding major organs. No drugs or alcohol were in her system, but her stomach contained fecal matter, hinting at force-feeding or torture. The killer had even inserted grass from the lot into her body as a final insult. Reporters dubbed her the Black Dahlia, after learning of her penchant for black outfits, turning her into a sensational headline. Her fingerprints, sent to the FBI, confirmed her identity via a prior minor arrest for underage drinking in Santa Barbara. The investigation kicked off immediately under the Los Angeles Police Department, with detectives Harry Hansen and Finis Brown leading a massive effort involving over 750 investigators at its peak. The LAPD canvassed the neighborhood, but no one had seen or heard anything suspicious. On January 21st, a manila envelope arrived at the Los Angeles Examiner newspaper, pasted with cutout letters, reading, "Here is Dahlia's belongings. Letter to follow." Inside were Elizabeth's birth certificate, social security card, photos, an address book with names torn out, and items like a shoe and handbag found in a dumpster. The envelope smelled of gasoline, likely to erase fingerprints, but a partial print was lifted, though it never matched anyone. The killer taunted authorities further with notes, including one saying, "Catch me if you can," echoing other infamous cases. Over 60 people confessed falsely, drawn by the publicity, but all were cleared. Suspects poured in. Robert Red Manley, the last person to see her alive, who dropped her at the Biltmore on January 9th. After a brief fling, he passed a polygraph and was alibi. D. Mark Hansen, no relation to the detective, a nightclub owner she stayed with, was questioned over jealousy motives. Walter Bailey, a surgeon living nearby, was linked due to his medical skills and a messy divorce. His daughter claimed he knew Elizabeth through her syphilitic treatments. Norman Chandler, publisher of the LA Times, was rumored due to alleged affairs. Mobster Bugsy Siegel was investigated for ties to Hollywood underworld. Leslie Dillon, a bellhop and aspiring writer, emerged as a prime suspect after contacting police psychiatrist Dr. Joseph Paul D. River. Dillon knew unreleased details and was arrested in 1949, but charges were dropped for lack of evidence. The most enduring suspect is Dr. George Hodel, a brilliant but sinister physician with a history of abuse and incest allegations from his daughter, Tamar. In 1949, bugs planted in his home, now a historic Hollywood mansion, captured him, saying, supposing I did kill the Black Dahlia. They couldn't prove it. Now, his son, retired LAPD detective Steve Hodel, later accused him in books, citing surgical expertise. Connections to surrealist art, circles the body's pose resembled Man Ray's Minotaur, and even linking him to other murders like the lipstick killer case. Evidence included handwriting matches to the taunting letters and cement sacks at his home, similar to those possibly used to transport the body. Despite grand jury hearings in 1949, no indictments came, hampered by police corruption, lost evidence, and media interference. Reporters even cleaned the crime scene for better photos. Over the years, twists and revelations kept the case alive, refusing to fade into obscurity. One major theory connects it to the Cleveland torso murders, 1934 to 1938, where a serial killer dismembered victims similarly. Suspect Elliot Ness moved to LA around the time, but links are tenuous. Another suggests Elizabeth was pregnant, based on autopsy notes of uterine abnormalities, possibly motivating the killer. In 1962, a woman claimed her father, a cop, confessed on his deathbed. In the 1970s, janitor Jack Anderson Wilson was implicated via voice analysis, matching a purported confession tape, but he died in a fire before questioning. Books like John Gilmore's Severed claimed insider knowledge, pointing to a pimp named Al Morrison, while Donald Wolfe's The Black Dahlia Files accused a conspiracy involving LAPD and media moguls. Steve Hodel's ongoing investigations, including soil samples from George Hodel's home in 2013 that allegedly found human remains, though disputed, added layers. Some theorize it was a botched abortion, given medical precision and her possible pregnancy. Paranormal angles even surfaced, with claims of hauntings at the Biltmore. Despite DNA tech advances, no matches have emerged from preserved evidence like the envelope prints. The case influenced culture profoundly, inspiring films like The Black Dahlia, 2006, books, and even a death metal band named after it. Justice has eluded Elizabeth Short for over 78 years. The case remains open but cold, with the LAPD occasionally reviewing tips. No one was ever charged, and the killer likely died long ago, taking secrets to the grave. Elizabeth's mother, Phoebe Short, learned of her death cruelly when reporters tricked her into thinking her daughter won a beauty contest, only to reveal the murder for a quote, "She collapsed in grief." Buried in Oakland Cemetery, California, Elizabeth's grave draws curiosity seekers, a quiet end to a life cut brutally short. The Black Dahlia endures as a symbol of lost innocence in Hollywood's underbelly, a reminder that some evils defy resolution. What do you think? Could George Hodel really have been the killer? Or was it someone closer to her Hollywood circle? If the surgical cuts point to a doctor, why do you believe the police overlooked so many medical suspects? With all the false confessions, how might modern forensics like DNA change the outcome if applied today? If you enjoyed this deep dive into the Black Dahlia mystery, hit that like button, subscribe for more true crime stories, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Let's uncover history's darkest secrets together.